really about sleep. And it's an important subject, which you'll learn more about as we go through this presentation. It's something I think we don't take seriously enough, and this is kind of evidenced by the Centers for Disease Control that calls insufficient sleep a public health epidemic. And the World Health Organization calls it a global epidemic or a pandemic of sleeplessness. So this was a study done by the National Sleep Foundation back in 2013, and it looked at the average amount of sleep per work night that an individual got in these various countries. And as you can see, none of them are really even close to the 8 hours each night that we need. And sleeping less than 8 hours can cause fatigue, heart disease, weight gain, diabetes, anxiety, stroke, kidney disease, and many different forms of cancer, just to name a few. Now, the one thing here that kind of points out to me is the hours slept per work night. And I think that kind of alludes to what we think about sleep. We don't think of sleep as a productive time of our day. And what many of us do is we forego sleep in order to get certain things done, whether they're work projects or term projects in school, whatever that might be, and say, okay, I'm going to stay up late tonight and finish this project, and then or watching a movie. It could be, you know, any other choice that we're making other than sleeping, and I'll make up for that sleep on the weekend. I'll sleep in on the weekend, and that's a big myth about sleep, because that doesn't work. These requirements for 8 hours of sleep per night is a daily requirement. It's based on our circadian rhythm. It's not that I can sleep 6 hours during the week and then sleep 10 hours at night and make up that sleep debt. It just does not work that way. So anyway, sleep is a very, very important. And lack of sleep can prevent our brain from making new memories. That's when we store and make new memories during our deep sleep. One poor night's sleep can reduce our immune efficiency up to 60 to 70%. And think about that for a minute, because usually if we're not sleeping well for a couple nights in a row, that's when our immune system isn't as active. And that's usually when we get a cold or the flu. So also we've mentioned that lack of sleep is linked to cancer. In fact, just recently, the World Health Organization classified nighttime shift work as a probable carcinogen. And that's a huge statement. That really is. And it's also very detrimental to our cardiovascular health. When we sleep, our blood pressure drops. We kind of reset our whole cardiovascular system. And lack of sleep can take its effect on the health of our heart and our whole cardiovascular system. So I'd like to suggest a book. This is Why We Sleep. It's in my library by Matthew Walker. And Matthew Walker is a neuroscientist and the head of their sleep center at University of California at Berkeley. You can also Google Matthew Walker. He's got some great TED Talks on the importance of sleep, some great little videos. Some are only 5 to 10 minutes long. And again, kind of look him up and reinforce your belief of how important sleep really is for us. So this is a quote from Matthew Walker, and what he says, and I'm going to read this quote: "I used to suggest that sleep is the third pillar of good health, along with diet and exercise, but I don't agree with that anymore. Sleep is the single most effective thing you can do to reset your brain and body for health." And I wholeheartedly agree. This next quote is from William C. Dement from Stanford University, also considered to be the father of sleep science and sleep medicine. And it's a very profound statement too. "Healthy sleep has been empirically proven to be the single most important determinant in predicting longevity, more important than diet, exercise, or heredity." So what's the problem here? I think it's really twofold. One, is our perceptions of sleep. As I said, many people think it's an unproductive part of our day. I have some buddies of mine, when talking about this subject, say, I just don't get enough sleep. I get about 5 or 6 hours a night. And I may ask them, why is that? And what they do is they get up a couple hours early so they can spend an hour and a half at the gym each day. And they think they're making a healthy choice. But they're carrying that sleep debt over and over again. Now, the sleep debt, is that going to affect them and their overall health right away? It can, of course, like we mentioned, by a decrease in their immune efficiency. But over over a period of time, let's say 5 years, 10 years, whatever that might be, it's going to take its toll in many of those chronic issues that we talked about earlier. So the other problem is, it's not just our perception that we don't think of sleep as a productive part of their day, which physiologically is probably our most productive part of our day for our health, but also there's certain things that wake us up at night. So let's kind of look at first the sleep cycle so that we understand the issue, the problems, and don't be confused by this slide. This is basically just the sleep cycle. And actually, this is kind of relatively new from a science standpoint. It really wasn't first identified until like the mid 50s, where they actually found rapid eye movement or REM sleep. But each of these cycles, there's 5 stages of sleep, and we need to complete 5 replications of this cycle per night. And each cycle takes anywhere from 90 to 110 minutes to take place and then start over again. Now, even if we're very effective or efficient sleepers, those 5 replications of that cycle works out to about 7.5 hours of sleep. And most of us aren't that effective sleepers. So we really need about 8 hours of sleep. One of the things that Dr. Walker talks about in his book, Why We Sleep, is what he calls the recycle rate of humans. In other words, his research has shown that after 16 hours of wakefulness, we start to diminish not only in our cognitive and physical abilities, but also in physiological processes as well. So we need to reboot and get that 8 hours of sleep each night. So the other thing to notice here is that each one of these stages moves progressively, say from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3. And if we interrupt this cycle, what happens is it doesn't go. So let's say we interrupt it at stage 2 to 3. And there's a number of things that can do that. And or say from 3 to 4. What happens is we don't go into 4, we go back to stage 1. So interruption of this cycle can prevent us getting 5 replications of it during one night's sleep. And some of the things that interrupt it is that, one, we can't relax. Maybe it takes us a real long time to fall asleep. If we hurt, that could interrupt that sleep cycle. If we're too hot or too cold, let's say we're too cold and we wake up to pull the covers on, or we're too hot and we wake up to move the covers down, that wakes us up and we restart that cycle, the progression again. If we feel too heavy in one spot, what do? We toss and turn. Again, that wakes us up and interrupts the cycle. Breathing issues could be another thing that interrupts it. And many of us have noticed that we sleep better with our head cooler than the rest of our body, a couple degrees cooler. And if our head's too hot, what do? We move the pillow looking for a cool spot. And again, that interrupts that cycle. So how about a quality night's sleep, a deep, sound, restful, rejuvenating sleep? That's the way we want to sleep. In the 5th century BC, Sophocles wrote about sleep, and what he said is, sleep is the only medicine that gives ease. And if this is the case, it stands to reason that a lack of sleep, or poor sleep, or inequality, or inadequate sleep could give dis-ease. And of course, that's what we've talked about with many of the chronic conditions that are associated with inadequate or poor quality sleep. So the solution here is basically the Nikken Kenko Nature S Fit Sleep System. This is a sleep system that's designed around the physiology of sleep. And it also provides some of those vital energies and vital things that we need to maintain homeostasis and nurture our nature. So within this system, we use technology to provide the Earth's natural energy of magnetics. We also have tourmaline, which produces negative ions, which helps relax us while we're sleeping. We have orthopedic support for all body types. There's massage nodules in the topper to help keep you comfortable to reduce tossing and turning. And we have reflective temperature regulation to keep us at an even temperature. And the system's made from environmentally responsible materials and environmentally safe materials. And again, I'll reiterate, this is designed around the physiology of sleep. So let's talk again about what wakes us up. And if we've made that decision, we've made that choice that sleep is very important for our health, what is the things that wake us up? And as we said, we can't relax. We have discomfort, temperature fluctuations, feel too heavy in one spot, toss and turn a lot, breathing issues, or maybe our head's too hot. This is what these technologies do to alleviate these nuisances that wake us up and interrupt the sleep cycle. So we have these tri-phase technologies, the magnetics, the tourmaline, and reflective fibers, all to help us relax, stay at an even temperature, help with discomfort. We have massage nodules to help keep us in a passive massage so we don't toss and turn as much on the system and we don't feel so heavy in one spot. Our pillows help many people with breathing issues, and the makeup of the pillow with reflective fibers helps keep our head cool so it's not too hot, so we don't wake up looking for a cool spot on the pillow. It's actually phenomenal how well people sleep on this system. And I think it's the technology, again, designed around the physiology of sleep as a solution to the reasons of why many people wake up during the night. So we also have a couple other sleep products, and one here I really want to talk about, and one of my favorite products is the Kenko Sleep Mask. And this helps you get deep sleep anytime. We use it a lot when we're flying or on planes. It's got strategically engineered to ensure a restful sleep and block out light, and it features magnetic and ceramic reflective technologies as well. And the other thing I like about it too, it's very pliable, so it can be used not only as a sleep mask, but let's say my shoulder was bothering me a little bit. I can just place that sleep mask over my shoulder and get some relief from that discomfort as well. So we mentioned we have the Nature S pillowcase, and we also have a sleeping bag, what we call the Kenko Therm Cocoon, which is very nice for travel as well. So I'm going to give you 7 steps to a better night's sleep, and this is from the National Sleep Foundation. Schedule sleep just like you would schedule anything else important in your daily activities. Pay attention to what you eat and drink. Avoid caffeine at least 6 to 8 hours before going to sleep. And it's very important to create a bedtime ritual. In other words, to get you ready for sleep. And that could be either listening to or reading a book prior to that. Limit your daytime naps. Include physical activity in your daily routine will help you get a good night's sleep. And manage stress, either through breathing exercises, meditation. I like to take a walk, and that helps me, relax as well. And get comfortable. Create the right environment, with the right lighting. Very dark, cool room is what's suggested for a good night's sleep. And they also suggest invest in a quality sleep system. So the one I recommend is the Nikken Kenko Nature S sleep system. So I'll give a little bit of sleep history of myself. So I slept fine as a kid, teenager, young adult. But as I aged, I noticed I just didn't get the sleep I did when I was a kid. That you just wake up ready for the day. You can't wait to get out to the ball field or whatever it might be. And the biggest problem for me is I just couldn't shut my brain off. I just kept thinking of everything else I need to do. And at that time, I ran a fairly large company called Applied Genetics, and I would lay there in bed, finally fall asleep, probably sleep for a couple hours, maybe an hour, 2 hours, look at the clock, go back to sleep, look at the clock an hour, 2 hours later, and pretty much slept, you know, through much of my adult life that way. And thinking, and even though I took many physiology courses, including the physiology of sleep, which was a year-long course, 2 semesters, um, I thought, well, that's just a normal sleep pattern for me as an adult, which of course it wasn't. And I really probably knew better, but didn't seek any help about it. When I first started to use the system, I was amazed at how quickly I could fall asleep and how few times, if at all, I woke up during the night. And really, it brought me back to those days when I slept as a kid, just can't wait to get up in the morning and get out to the ball field or whatever else I was doing at that time. But well rested, just ready to take on the day, jump out of bed, and Heather can attest to that. When I get out of bed, I'm pretty much raring to go. And that has actually been the result of using this sleep system for over 2 decades. And it's something I wouldn't do without. I think it's the cornerstone of what we call our Nikken Wellness Home. So our wellness home is based really on what we call a process called biomimicry. And it's innovation inspired by nature, where we use science and technology to replicate nature. And this is evident in our product line, as I said, we call the Nikken Wellness Home. It's the easiest way to describe the wellness home. It's like a greenhouse for humans. It provides healthy air, healthy water, quality sleep, whole food nutrition, and the healthy natural energies of the earth, the sun, and motion, or the wind. And this is evidenced by our product lines. So we have water products to give you the cleanest, healthiest water you can possibly get. It's the water the way nature intended. We talked about our sleep products. We also have the Kinko Air Purifier, which provides healthy air the way nature intended, free of contaminants, but also with that same type of air that you find outdoors, say near a waterfall or near the ocean. We provide whole food nutrition with our nutritional line and energy products to give us more energy during the day and relief from discomfort as well. So this is the way we want to nurture our nature and maintain balance and homeostasis. So we invite you to be part of our global wellness community. There's 2 ways you can get involved. You can become a client or a customer and take part and start your own wellness home. Or you can also join us in our goal, what we call Vision 2025, which is based really on creating 10 million new wellness home starts by the year 2025.